we left off is we have Lenny, Ike coming from the woods, have confronted Fiver and Peewittle at the tavern. Jan is still in the woods having investigated the wolf. Axe is coming back from the graveyard. I'd like to pick up and start with Fiver has a revolver pointed at the crotchal region of Lenny. Peewittle is trying to be a peacekeeper, and Ike is trying to stir the pot. Okay, well, I need the four of you to roll initiative. And what we're going to do is this isn't necessarily a combat roll. This is a role-playing initiative. I want to see, because you're all kind of wanting to act in the same 6 seconds of time, as it were, like in combat, we're going to find out who acts first. So
Ike got a 16.
Peewittle got a 9.
Fiver rolls a 10.
Lenny got a 12.
Ike, what's happening?
I want to sleight of hand and take his pistol out of his hand. Like basically, I want to like snatch it from him, whip it out on him.
You'll be rolling sleight of hand. Fiver, I assume you're not just going to be wanting this to be taken away from you. I would say a strength roll, possibly from you, to be holding on to this.
Ike got a 1.
Oh man.
Fiver rolls nat 20.
A nat 20.
So
No.
Anthony goes to grab the pistol from Fiver's hand. And as he's reaching pistol in Fiver's hand, Fiver pulls the pistol away, and Ike nut tags Lenny on accident. Lenny, take D4 of damage. And then Lenny, it's your reaction next.
Ike, you hit me in the dick. So Lenny's actually going to back up. His turn's going to be to disengage. He heard the rabbit say his threat in English to him. This is something that I have never seen before. I have never seen a rabbit speaking the tongue of man. If the rabbit is not suffering mentally, he must not be put down. This could potentially be something we do not yet understand. So, Peewittle, have you had conversation with this rabbit? How is it possible that he is speaking English? And where is he from?
Yes, my boy. I've corresponded with him, but I do not know where he's from. He's a very clever rabbit indeed.
So Lenny was already shocked that the rabbit was speaking English. Plus, he has a great deal of respect for wizards, and he understands them. He has a little bit of a history with them, and he very strongly values their perspectives and thoughts because he understands their level of intelligence. So Lenny's going to say, I will trust the opinions of the wizard, Rabbit. But in my defense, when I talked to you, I said, in Rabbit, there are dangers in these woods, and a rabbit should not travel alone. Your response was tree, rock, tree, house, house, and then you erected a rabbit nail. But if the wisest among us says you are clever, I will honor his opinion, and the rabbit shall not be put down.
Well, thank you, my boy. It's not very often that I get the respect I deserve. Let's go in the Drunken Goat here and all share a drink. What say you, Rabbit?
He'll agree to go to the bar. He said, yeah, that's a great idea. You boys are so lucky. My best friend, Axe Welding Man, is going to turn that corner any second now, and he wears a belt full of magic daggers, and he'll stick you with all of them. So you better count your blessings. He'll roll up his pistol and get off the ground. You look like an idiot.
Yes, come, Ike. There will be no more bloodshed this evening. And Lenny helps Ike off the ground. Tensions were high. Allow me to present an offering to calm your nerves, Rabbit. And Lenny reaches around and sort of feels around in his pockets. And he pulls out a handful of corn and mystery lint. He's got like 4 or 5 pieces. And keep in mind, Lenny's covered in blood. His axe is splattered with freshly dried blood from the werewolf that he killed 30 minutes prior to this. So he reaches in his pocket and he pulls out, and you see a hand that has 4 or 5 pieces of corn and like mystery lint and a little bit of blood spatter. And he goes, "Come, Rabbit, I will offer you a little nibble from my hand." And then he holds his hand and he puts it right up in front of the rabbit's lips.
So I'm totally imagining like a scene from like Ren and Stimpy, you know, where they they do that, all that nasty shit's on his head.
Zoom in on it.
He's like, he's got like dirty fingernails and lint and hair and shit with some corn. And Fiber kind of looks at it like, yeah, that's great. And he takes like one piece of corn, like one kernel. I'm more of a carrot guy myself. Hang on one second. And he kind of looks at the pile of his junk behind him. And he picks up that Wolfsbane sword. And here, we make an even trade. Now, don't open that in the daytime and don't feed it after midnight.
So Lenny accepts the trade, and he's sort of thinking to himself, feed the sword. Maybe this rabbit's crazy after all. And then he says, listen, there are dangers in these woods. Ike and I just recently murdered a werewolf, and our buddy Jan is back investigating. Something is going on in this town.
So at this point, I think Jan's going to come back into the scene. I'm going to approach from Lenny's house. I kind of stumble on all of these guys, and by God, the talking rabbit's still here.
So you stumble upon a scene of 4 individuals who have decided to go back indoors.
Lenny, Ike, it's good to see you. I don't believe I've been introduced to the rest of you. My name is Jan. I'm from the priesthood of Lathander. Good to make your acquaintance. I walk up to P. Whittle first and stick out my hand. Nice to meet you. My name is Jan.
I'm going to cast Mage Hand in order to shake your hand with my Mage Hand. Peewittle Longbottom's the name. Magic's the game. And I'll shake your hand with my Mage Hand.
That is a beautiful mage hand you have conjured there. But why is it so grotesque? It looks like an orc.
Ah, you know the Mage Hand. Do you cast it yourself?
I do not, but I've studied about it.
As far as the orc piece goes, I've just got a curiosity about those creatures. I've studied them long and hard, but I've never seen one in person and just find them very interesting.
Well, it's very nice to make your acquaintance. And you, rabbit friend, what shall I call you?
About that time, the large burly tavern keep opens the door and steps out onto the stoop, and he says, by God, you guys are making a lot of noise. We've already closed down the bar for the evening, but if you're looking to stay here, you better make up your mind quick, because I'm about to lock up for the night. So as you know, the Drunken Goat is a tavern/inn, so it got rooms up on the 2nd floor.
My good man, I would like to rent a room. I am a traveler and have nowhere else to stay.
Yeah, well, come on if you're coming. Getting late and I got a lot to do. Prepare for tomorrow. So he turns around and he starts to walk in. He leaves the door open for now.
I make my way inside to get into a room for the evening.
Ike, before you head in, can you share with us the dangers in these woods? What of your discovery? And should we be worried?
By Lathander, I'd almost forgotten. What I discovered was that the creature was not quite werewolf, but not quite man. It was in a state of in-betweenness, for lack of a better word. I did notice that it had scratches along its forearm that looked, I couldn't tell quite if they were self-inflicted or not. It might lead to me to believe that there could be a creature that is controlling the rest of these creatures. Or if not controlling, then perhaps a matriarch or perhaps patriarch style figure. I wonder if our Mayor Winchester might know more. This is his town. Perhaps these events and these creatures are not a new occurrence. Maybe they've been around here for some time. I would like to find out more, but it is quite late and we've already had quite the day. Perhaps we should retire for the evening and pick up our discoveries again tomorrow.
Interesting. Something is plaguing this town. Ike, maybe we should reach out to X in the morning. Do you know where he might be?
I don't know where Axe is, but I don't see little Sebastian, so I need to go find him before I go to sleep.
Yes, let us all retire for the evening, and we will meet up in the morning. We will need to find Mr. Winchester first thing.
Well, hold on there, big man. I'm an old man traveling. I would like to save a gold piece or two. You say you have a cabin close by?
Yes, I have a cabin and 2 chickens just southwest of town. If you would like to stay, you're more than welcome. I have hot soup and a pile of hay you can lie on. Anyone who wants to come with me is more than welcome.
Ah, thank you. Thank you, sir. All I need is a cupboard anything's better than this dirt ground I've been sleeping on all week.
Y'all start to head off towards Lenny's cabin in the woods, Fiver.
I grab my stuff, what's left of it, the book, the shoulder pads. So I'm going to grab
Good.
that stuff, and then I'm going to follow P. Whittle and Lenny, but I'm not really going to ask permission. I'm just going to follow.
Ike is headed to get Sebastian. So I want to go to Zach.
Axe, after finding this boar, seeing that it has some strange markings on it, like it's been attacked by something, and feeling like it's part of his duty as a local to make people aware of a possible threat to the village. I have the hog-tied boar, and I'm pulling it with me to talk to the mayor, which last time I saw was in the tavern. So I'm approaching the tavern.
Yeah, well, you're dragging the boar behind you on your way to the tavern, but to get to the tavern, you got to pass by the wheat field. And as you pass by the wheat field, you hear some clanging and some banging, and you see 4 small wooden mechanical minion beings walking across the path in front of you, carrying various sizes pieces of the wreckage that you saw earlier. Behind them, as they cross in front of you, and then out of the wheat field comes your boss, the smithy. He doesn't see you. He's just walking, guiding these guys, working them. They're crossing from the wheat field and carrying stuff to the warehouse. This is not an uncommon thing for him to help out around town, but these, you would know that these are the town type janitors, the Mr. Wildersmith. They're his creation, and they do a lot of his maintenance type things. They beautification, they trim the hedges, and do various
But he didn't
tasks
make 'em.
that people don't want to.
Mr. Greystone, is it true we do have tomorrow off, right? Since for the festival?
He's startled and he says, "Oh my God, boy, you can't be sneaking up on an old man like that." Oh God, Axe, what are you doing out so late? You have a big day tomorrow. What do you mean, day off? I need you to work the forges. You promised.
You can't blame a man for trying. Well, I went to see her tonight. Well, this boar came out of nowhere and attacked me, and I noticed that it looks like it was attacked itself by some strange creature. So to let you know, watch out. If you're going to stay out here much longer, there may be some creature loose. And I'm headed to town now to let the mayor know so he can send out an alert to the town's people.
Oh yeah, the mayor, he asked me to come oversee the mouses here as they took all the wreckage and started clearing it out. We don't want townspeople too startled tomorrow. I think most people think there's just a lightning struck and caught the field on fire. Minions of unusual strength here. They're very handy for things like this.
Well, the strangest thing happened today. I don't know if he told you everything, but there's this 4-foot rabbit. Never seen it before. I don't quite understand what's going on, but he seems friendly enough. Just don't talk to him.
He slaps his leg and says, "By golly, 4-foot rabbit. Axe, you really ought not stay up so late. You've been seeing things again, haven't you? I bet
Well-
you even think you saw Clara again tonight. Is that why you headed off to the graveyard?"
I think I know why that's happening, but yes, yes, I did. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and try to find the mayor. Maybe he's still at the tavern. If not, I'll wait till the morning. You have a good night, sir, and I guess I'll see
Oh,
you
I saw the mayor. He was headed back to his lab with the Inquisitor. He didn't seem like he wanted to be disturbed tonight. But like I say, Axe, I need you in the morning. You ought to get some sleep. I'm sure whatever's going on with you can wait till the light of day. Like I say, the light always shines truth on everything.
He gets his flashlight. He shines it on the boar.
My God, Axe, that is quite the catch. That'll make good eating. But I got work to do, and it's good seeing you. But like I said, get some rest, and we'll see you in the morning. He
Sir,
keeps walking, following the mouses.
Axe grabs his bag and heads home, puts it in his shed out back, stokes the fire, and decides to go ahead and wait till morning.
Let's cut to Ike real quick. Ike, as everyone starts to depart, you turn back in the direction that little Sebastian you had last seen going, and you do see him away from the current streetlight you were under, and he's kind of in between streetlights, so he's kind of in the dark.
Walk up to little Sebastian, pat him on the head.
Nay.
I'm so glad you're here. I start pulling the rein back to the tavern. I go to the back of my cart, pour myself a glass of mead. I tuck myself up in my cart.
So Jan, he checked into the tavern. Lenny
Yes.
and P. Whittle.
So we're traveling through the darkness of the woods on the way to the cabin. Staying along the path, Lenny turns around and says, "It is this way, wizard. I will show you Kyle and Dave. Bartholomew is my goat. You may suckle directly upon his teats. He will offer warm milk." And then we start to approach the murder scene. And Lenny points down to it. "Take a look at this. This is the dead werewolf we had murdered earlier this evening. Ike launched 2 arrows into the side of this beast. His leg is removed. I don't know what to make of this. The cabin is this way."
I feel like I've been kind of jotting down some stuff about things that have transpired as far as the werewolf incident, and I'll just kind of remain somewhat quiet and jot a little more down in my journal as I continue on with Lenny.
So you pass by the dead beast in the middle of the pathway with a missing back leg. Nothing has changed with it. It is the way you saw it last. You continue to walk on, and you make it into the cabin. Fiverr in tow also comes upon this creature in the road before he catches up to y'all at the cabin.
Gods be damned. I gotta get out of here.
So y'all get to the cabin and you are greeted by a flapping Kyle and Davey. Kyle and Dave are sitting on the porch step and they flutter down to see you and start to kind of peck the ground near your feet. There's a big pile of corn over to the side.
Watch the toes. Watch the toes.
And they start to follow and kind of peck at Pete Whittle as he is behind you.
Scamper. I'm gonna pick up speed and kind of scamper away
I
from
mean,
them.
they're half the size of you. You know, and they come up to your chest. They could jump and they could hop and peck you in the eye.
Roll for initiative.
You make it into the house and shut the door.
I want to try to open the door. Just walk in like I'm expected.
So as Lenny enters his cabin and Pete Whittle kind of scampers in behind you, you don't slam the door, but you pull the door right before the door closes. The door opens back again and Fiverr's there.
So as Lenny is opening up the closet and putting his axe inside, he turns and he notices, hey, the rabbit has arrived. Come inside. It's totally fine. You can stay here for the night. I will offer protection for the evening. He grabs 2 bowls off of his table, walks over to the fire where he has a pot of boiling mystery soup that he scoops up and puts in 2 bowls and places it on the table. Here, you're more than welcome to eat this bowl of chicken soup.
Oh,
You
yeah.
were gonna say rabbit stew, man.
I'll point
Yeah,
to the
tell 'em.
chair that I'm sitting in. This chair right here, and then just kind of prop up. Oh, it's stretched. What a day!
Yes, you can sleep anywhere you'd like. So, in the interest of time, Lenny gets on his bed. He's still sweaty and dirty, doesn't care. Points to the corner where he's got some hay. P. Whittle, you're more than welcome to sleep there as well. You can take Kyle's spot for the evening. Eventually, lays down, gets relaxed, closes his eyes, falls asleep.
All right, as you curl up on your bed of hay and Lenny doesn't attempt to clean himself off at all, climbs into his warm bed to pass out for the evening. A rooster crows outside of the house of Lennox Deadleaf as a new day dawns. Let's start at the cabin.
So Lennox wakes up, stretches his arms, puts on his pants. He steps outside and opens up the door and lets the sunshine come in, takes a piss, looks back in the cabin. Wake up, everyone. It is morning time. The festival is upon us. Let us make our way into town.
Yes, oh yes, I'm getting up. I feel much better today.
Mr. Muscles, is it okay if I leave my stuff?
You can leave your stuff here. It should be fine.
Can we lock the door?
This door does not have locks. It just pushes open. Maybe we can put something behind the door. Here, put that chamber pot. What is that? What is that?
He Whittle drops the chamber pot at this point.
What is this contraption? Lenny kind of picks it up and looking at it and examining it, looking at the bottom.
We
I wish I
established
could
that-
tell you, but it came from this guy's crate. It seems to be some kind of fancy holder of flowers, or I'm not even sure what.
Oh, that, you're gonna love that, Muscle Man. So I made that a few years ago when I was drunk. I thought it was a good idea at the time, but now I kind of realize it's just kind of gross. So you poop in it, right? You know, we all gotta poop. And then this lever right here, this one, you crank the lever and your shit turns to gold. So like your dookie nuggets turn to gold nuggets, but it doesn't work that well. Most of the time you just get dookie nuggets when you reach your hand in. But occasionally, you know, if you'd rather have this than the sword, I could probably make some modifications for it to fit your big ass.
So I just put my big ass and you poop in it. Do you poop in it?
No, I don't poop in it. You poop in it. I learned my lesson.
Every time you poop in this thing, it gives you gold.
Sometimes, you gotta have the right expectations going in.
So Lennox is picking it up and really looking at it, and he says, so you just poop in this thing, and the poop just goes away. Where does the poop go?
That is one nice thing. At least your poop does disappear. I don't know where it goes, actually. I'm sorry for wherever it goes and it's piling up.
I will trade you this chamber pot for this sword.
So I'll reach out for the sword. We'll make a trade at the same time, and then I'll strap the sword back on my back.
It is a fine deal.
Okay, so you make the exchange. chamber pot for a sword, and I assume make your way out of the cabin, headed into town. Jan wakes up to the smell of bacon and eggs.
Jan stretches in bed, gets up and gets his clothes on, and kneels down at the end of his bed, takes a moment to say his vigil to Lathander, his god, to honor him. He stands up. My goodness, that smells wonderful. I hope that this establishment offers complimentary breakfast. I want to proceed into the main room of the tavern in search of a bite to eat. And I'm thinking
As
to
you-
myself, it might be a good idea to seek out the local chapter of Lathander and perhaps determine what is going on in this town, or at least maybe get some information that might give me insight.
So you open your door, and as you do, the tavern man sees you, the tavern keep, and he says, "Ah, traveler, welcome to the morning. Will you be dining with us?"
I will indeed. It smells wonderful out here. Bacon and eggs, just the thing for a night like I had.
He motions towards a bar stool and begins to prepare a plate for you. Axe has been up for a minute.
I woke up early and donned my chainmail because I wanted to look my best for the festival. Hopefully, I will attend after work, and I head out to the blacksmith shop. I think to myself I should bring the sword, but then think better of it and probably should wait till after the festival before bringing it up. Surely nothing will happen during the day. I head to work.
So you get to the forge earlier. Dew is still on the ground. The sun has begun. It's crested the horizon. People are beginning, shops are opening. People are beginning to move around and stop by. And you're not quite open yet, but a couple people stop by and ask you if you're open anyways.
Yes, would you like anything? I can make swords,
Oh, no.
axes, daggers, just name it.
Yeah, we're just looking. Let you know if we need anything. Ike, you wake up in the wagon. People have already begun to move around you.
Ike has some unfinished business to do, so he is there to meander, but also find out some things.
So you've woken up. You're parked right outside the tavern.
I'm gonna head into town, watch as people start setting up.
The Drunken Goat is kind of on the edge of the buildings of the town, and as you go in, the buildings get more dense. The festival is mainly on. There's a road that kind of cuts through the middle between all the buildings and shops, and they kind of close that road off for the festival. There's a road that kind of goes around like a loop around the whole town. Outside that loop, and all the other buildings are within it. So as you head closer and deeper into town, Ike, where are you trying to go?
I'm kind of like keeping to the shadows, just
Okay.
keeping an eye on everything, and really I'm keeping an eye out for Winchester.
I would say as Jan makes his way out of the tavern, you guys are coming out of the woods, entering town.
So I'm looking around and I see the trio emerge from the woods, and I make my way over to them through the festivities. I greet them. Hail! Was your evening restful?
It was. I ended up getting a chamber pot from the rabbit. You poop in it. But tell me, Jan, have you seen Ike this morning?
I have not seen Ike, but I have a question for you. You are a resident of this town. Is there a local chapter of the cult of Lathander?
I'm not familiar with this town enough to give you an honest answer. Maybe Ike or Axe would be able to answer that question better.
Well, thank you.
Jan, my boy, I didn't know you were a follower of Lathander, the Morning Lord. Is that
Yes.
where you know of Mage Hand from?
It is indeed. My god Lathander is benevolent, and he helps me know of these things through study. I am here in this town looking, in fact, for a relic of Lathander, known as the Mace of Lathander. And I hope to find a local chapter to do some investigation to see if I can locate this relic.
Well, that sounds like a very interesting prospect. Studied many of the gods, but I'm an academic. I get my power from the weave here. I get my powers from studying. You got them from praying, huh?
Quite right, sir. I say my prayers to Lathander every night before bed and every morning when I wake up.
Well, to each his own, boy. I wish you well, and I don't mind helping you find some folk here in town. I've got nothing else to do.
I'd be happy to accompany you. Maybe between the two of us, we could find the local chapter of the Lathander cult.
Well, as y'all all begin to make your ways deeper into town, there's people kind of moving past you, and like I said, there's people with storefronts, there's people with booths set up along the road, there's stringers going across the road, decorations, lots of flowers, paper mache type moons displayed all over the town, flyers for for the festival. There's itineraries posted on a couple of the lampposts displaying a couple of the events that are going on, main stage.
Jan going to try to find a smoked turkey leg. Jan wants to ask the local vendors or just go to the nearest one I see and just ask them if they are familiar with Lathander and his followers.
Roll perception.
11 total.
Yeah, so you can just barely make it out, but it's over the hustle and the bustle of the town, people talking, greeting one another, laughing, having a good time. You hear the sound of worship, and it's a familiar sound of worship, of course, of voices, because it is the new morning, and the local chapter of Lathander is greeting the dawn.
So I'm going to make my way towards what I hear.
So you're making your way to the temple, the local temple there.
P. Whittle, would you like to join me? I could have sworn I heard the hymn of the morning. Would you like to join me?
I will do. Let's go.
And you make your way into the town, cross the cobblestones, back and forth, and you make your way there. And as you approach, you see a couple of the local members. They're dressed in robe and garb with Lathander's morning sun symbol on the chest. They step out to sing in the morning, and they've ended their song as you arrive. They notice you. They say, "Hail and well met, brother. As the sun rises, so does our gratitude in seeing you this morning."
Hail to the morning, Lord. How are you on this fine day? We have a bright new morning amongst us, and Lathander is pleased.
"Yes, brother. Lathander is very pleased. This day, this festival of the moon, while not a symbol of our God, but a symbol of happiness, festive natures. Would you like to come and worship with us, brother?"
I would. I was led to this town based on information that I received. I am on a quest, a pilgrimage that was laid upon me by my home chapter. I am seeking the mace of Lathander. God be praised. Lathander has led me here to you, finally.
"Yes, God be praised. Why don't you come in with us and we will chat more?"
So I will accompany
You go
the
inside with
clerics.
them. Yeah, you follow them in.
In the dawn, beauty reigns, and the way is clearer.
As you approached and you said that, P. Whittle, they all turned to you and said, "May the dawn shine on you." They all continue into the temple.
I kind of picture this not in a Protestant sense, but more Catholicism. It's real. I mean, you got your stained glass,
Incense.
Lathander. There's images of Lathander. So this is a god of new beginnings. So we're talking Lathander holding babies, the sun peeking like in a horizon sense, the dawn peeking over the horizon, kind of those type symbols going in. At the far end, kind of to go along with that Catholic theme, they tend to have their priest elevated from the rest of the congregation. So you have like an elevated platform. On the very far end, there might be some monks chanting. I'm just making my way inside. I guess I have P. Whittle.
And there's a couple. It's the church is not really big. It's probably 10 pews on each side. They hold about 7 people each or something like that. Guys up front preaching. Very sparse. There's not a lot of people there this morning, but there's a couple. Enough that they had service type thing, but they'd have it with nobody.
Yeah. So I'm headed in. As a wizard, I know that the clerics get their stuff straight from their gods, so they're not necessarily going to have a spell book, but at the same time I know that much like a lot of religious leaders in our time, there's hucksters and all, so I'm just interested to kind of see if anybody's in here, like if there's any spell books around or anything like that I could maybe get my hands on essentially.
So well, I do want to say this: the temple is not on the main drag with the festival. It's not on the street that's closed off. It's just off it. So when you leave there, you will then enter into the street that the festival is on, which is kind of roped off because there's a man sitting out front of it. He's kind of got a bell and he's ringing it, and he's like, "No blades, no bows. Leave your weapons here. No blades, no bows. Leave your weapons here." You can't carry your weapons into the closed off street.
Yeah, so Lenny walks over there and glances at it real quick, but he turns to P. Whittle and says, "P. Whittle, I have an idea. During the festival, you shall launch a firebolt at me, and I will block it with my axe. It will be a great display of power, speed, and constitution, which will gain us much respect."
Well, I'm not one for spectacle, but maybe so, my boy. Let me see what's going on in this temple, and I'll catch up with you.
So Lenny says to P. Whittle, "Okay, my friend, we'll catch up later." And he walks over to the guy that's saying no blades, no bowls. And what exactly, what does he have?
Yeah. He's got barrels that hold bows and arrows. He give you a ticket. There's like a counter that he hands it past, and they put it in the barrel that's behind the counter, and they put a little ticket on it so you can get yours back. And he has a place for axes and swords and maces and all kinds of weaponry.
Lennox reluctantly says, fine, and he just throws his axe amongst all the other weapons there, pretty aggressively and dangerously, knocking all the shit over in everyone else's shit that was already there.
So as you approach the edge of the street that you got to get past with your weapons, you start to kind of notice people talking and whispering, people beside them, and looking in your general direction. But nobody's really saying anything to you. They've never seen a 4-foot rabbit walking around.
I'm just trying to stick close to Lenny.
So you enter into the festival. You're walking along, and you see a couple booths. You know, they've got there's a man there whittling toys, and he's really fast because they don't have balloons in this world. So I imagine he's making like wooden whittled toys. He's got a bunch already made, but he's making a couple. There's ducks, wooden ducks that look really nice. They look like ducks. The kids are walking up, and they're sitting around him, and they're going, they're shouting out things they want him to do next. They want him to do next, and all of a sudden they get really quiet, and they go, "Oh, what is that? Make a rabbit like that one. Make a rabbit!" And they all start pointing at Fiverr, and one of the kids runs up, and he stands right in front of me. He goes, and he looks over at Lenny, and he's like, "Where did you get this? I want a toy just like this one."
I did not get this rabbit from anywhere. This rabbit, I believe, came from the sky. He does not speak rabbit. He is a walking, talking, humanoid creature that poops in chamber pots and knows how to speak English. Go on, rabbit. Speak to the children.
Oh, okay. One of the kids kind of whispers over to the other kid that's beside him. There's 3 of them. I'm gonna say there's 2 boys and a little girl, and the 2 boys look at each other, and one leans over and he's like, "This is that guy that lives up in the cabin." And the other one whispers back, goes, "Yeah, Mom says he's crazy. I guess we'll just be going." And they run back over to the whittling guy, and they ask him to make them wooden rabbits like the one they just saw.
I'll
But if
raise
I
my hand up for a high five to Lenny.
Does Lenny crush the rabbit?
I do want to say one thing. I would not have taken off my gun, but no one really knows what it is, right?
Right. And you said you were like right there with Lenny, so I mean, you kind of just like snuck by with Lenny.
Could I put my sword like in my jacket? Because I did put it on my back.
Lenny's such a commanding presence, and through his axe was so massive. And what happened was Lenny tossed his axe, and when he did, he hit all the other swords that were perfectly lined up, really nice and neat. And they all started to fall and tip, and then they hit the pole arms, and they hit the pole axes, and then the maces, and they all just fell over in one big crash. But Lenny did not pay any attention to that. But it made such a loud ruckus that no one paid attention to Fiverr following in behind you.
If people seen him kind of at a distance compared to Lennox, Fiverr would look like a normal rabbit, right?
So y'all continue into the festival. You've got a guy who says, step right up. Here we are. We have an amazing game for you this evening. Do I have any takers? Any takers at all? He has a game with a circle that's about 30 feet away. It's a horizontal circle. And he's got these cloth balls that he's made. Just hit one ball inside the circle, win a prize. He's just shouting to everybody. There's lots of other festival games going on.
I bet you could knock that over, muscle man.
This pathetic challenge is no match for Lennox Deadleaf. Tell me, how much is this stupid game?
Just 1 copper piece. For 5 copper pieces, I'll give you 3 balls.
Roll for intelligence.
That's a good deal, muscle man. That's a good deal.
I will accept your challenge, but I only have 1 silver piece.
I'll get you 6 balls. We have 3, so you'll get to shoot them twice. He puts 3 balls down in front of you.
So Lennox picks up and gives it his best throw.
Okay, roll for dexterity. Just straight dexterity throw.
2.
Ooh, better luck next time, sir. You gonna continue? You're gonna let the little fellow have a throw?
I will try again. Trust me, I will not miss now that I've got my arm warmed up. 12.
He says, winner, winner. He says, we have a couple of these prizes over here. And he shows you a box full of wooden ducks that are very poorly made that he got from the local tavern keep. Pick your prize.
I don't know who made those ducks, but those are the worst damn ducks I've ever seen in my life. I've been whittling a long time, and I've never seen such garbage. What other prizes do you offer?
You look around and you can see just the edge of a bag of corn as it is laid over the booth. It holds like the booth. It keeps the booth from tipping over. It's just like a weight, but it's the bag of corn.
How about that bag of corn over there?
You'll take a bag of corn? He said, I'll tell you what, I can give you that bag of corn, but I got something even better. I hear later today that the mayor of the town is going to be making a speech, and I know some guys that can get us backstage because he has some of the best backstage parties, after his shows that people always talk about every year, but it's very VIP to get in. Tell you what, if you can make 2 more, I can hook you up.
I will accept your challenge. So Lennox picks up 2 balls. So I just rolled a 20. So Lennox, he picks up 2, and then he just chunks it. Both go straight through the hole in the middle of him talking.
Now hold on. If you don't make at least 2, and he sees that you threw 2 at once, and they both went in, he goes, "Damn it! Okay, all right. Come back here in 1 hour's time, and I will hook you up with VIP passes." And he puts a sign on the booth that says, "Be back in 15 minutes."
Back in 5.
He runs behind the booth.
Well, Rabbit, you might be good luck after all.
And in about an hour, you've seen on these posters that are around town, they have an itinerary talking about the events. There's been some juggling acts going on. You've missed those. There's some local talent doing some stand-up. There's about to be a bard who's going to take stage and do a show. And then Mr. Winchester is slated to have a little bit of State of the Union type address to officially open the festival and get kind of some more of the festivities rolling. I'd like to see what Ike's up to.
So I see the itinerary. I know that he's going to be making a speech. I try to sneak my way up to the stage and try to get a hiding spot.
The stage is flanked by buildings. It's a really tight stage as far as it's not just completely open. It's only open towards the front, but it is elevated.
Well, while he's doing that, I was going to
Yeah.
say what Axe has been doing this whole time. He's at work. He's slaving away, trying to get his quota in, trying to make these daggers and finish the day early so he can get to the festivals. Blade, how many of these blades do I have to make today to make my quota?
Oh, Axe, I think you've done a good job this morning. I think you're for getting here early and getting the forge nice and hot. And he looks down at your pile and he looks back at you. You did a good job today, Axe. So he sees you working on your last one. He walks up to you and grabs the one out of your hand and he's like, Axe, are you distracted today? Is there something on your mind? Is it last night?
Well, I mean, the fair is going on right now. There's a lot of people around. Can I see if I saw Anthony? I mean, Ike, because
Yeah,
I am looking for him.
Ike, I'd have you roll for...
I was going to take a vantage point, like up on the roofs, pretty much.
Let's see if Ike spots you, and then we'll see if anyone else spotted you in town. So just a perception versus Ike's stealth.
8.
12.
So you keep looking around, and you think you saw him at one point, but when you yelled his name, they didn't turn around. They just kept on going. Ike, roll for stealth one more time. Let's see if anybody in town has seen you.
Ike has rolled a 16.
All right, with a 16, no one was able to spot you as you found a building to climb and get a vantage point where you can see all the festivities going on below, and you got a good line of sight of the stage. I will say that you are about 60 to 80 feet away from the stage. So you have a vantage point on the stage. The bard is wrapping up his last song on stage. He's been on stage for a second here. This is his last song. So, he's kind of like, I want to thank Winchesterton Fieldville for having me, and, doing that whole band bit before the last song.
Thank you, everyone. I am Crangus Cobbledick, and for my final song will be to wish someone a very special birthday. It is the Inquisitor's birthday. So, come, Limpy, join me on stage, and I shall sing you a birthday song.
And you look off to the stage and you see the Inquisitor standing there. He's behind, this, like you couldn't see him if you were in the audience because he's kind of down and behind the stage. And if you're kind of picturing like a Woodstock-esque type stage where he's raised, and they're back behind there where the bands and all the talents have gathered, getting ready to come out. And you do see the Inquisitor there, and you get his attention as he looks up at you with a glaring eye and just shakes his head.
Come on. So Cranchus has got 2 hands waving him on stage. Come on, Inquisitor. The crowd is waiting, my friend.
The scene back behind the stage is Mr. Winchester standing next to the Inquisitor, some of Mr. Winchester's people, and they're talking, and they're all alerted to this now. And Mr. Winchester pats the Inquisitor on the back and said, just go. Just go. You got this. And he mumbles to himself. He's like, I hate stairs. The only enemy in this world, worse than stairs, is this incessant bard on stage. And he has his cane and he's hobbling 1 step, 2 steps. He's finally on the stage, but he's barely visible. And he's kind of, go on, bard, say what you have to say.
So Cranchus sort of walks over to him and starts plucking his guitar, and he's like, bigga digga doom, ching ching ching, jigga jigga ching, ching ching ching, jigga jigga. Maggots eat your rotting flesh up, bigga digga doom. Flies lay their eggs in your hair, bigga digga doom. Bones will turn to dust and ashes, and the universe won't care, and you'll decay, chung 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 chung, and all that you've done fade away, chung 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 chung. I guess what I'm trying to say is happy birthday. And he gets real close to his face and basically screaming at it, happy birthday, chunk. And then he takes a bow, but in his bow he slings his arm backwards and sack taps the Inquisitor right between the legs.
So I imagine he kind of goes to a knee and just like whack. So he stumbles backwards, and Yzma is behind him and catches him and helps him off the stage. And another bodyguard that looks very similar to Yzma. It's a large hulking type muscle. You know, I've described them before, but they have a vest with their sleeves ripped off. It's almost like a uniform at this point. He comes up and he grabs the bard and escorts him off stage as well. But the crowd is going wild. The crowd is just, they're just losing their minds. It was so entertaining. And about that time, Mr. Winchester starts to take the stage, and he tips his hat, and he's kind of basking in some of that leftover applause. He comes up to the podium, and he steps up, and he has a little bit of a speech. So he steps up and he says, "Citizens of Winchesterton Fieldville, it is good to see you all here today. Centuries ago, this land was ruled by disease. My family cured that disease 85 years ago. Today, we celebrate that victory." And he holds his staff high into the air as about half of the audience kind of cheers, and the other half they don't outright boo, but they don't like how he said what he said. And he says, "We've had a good year and a good harvest, and I hereby open the festival." Pulls his staff down in kind of bluish and purple sparks. They fly into the air. The more fireworks kind of go off behind the stage as people cheer.
Ike is going to make a sneak attack.
You have to roll to hit.
Yes.
All right, what did you roll?
An 8.
So as everybody is cheering and caught up in the moment of the sparkles, and they're looking up in the sky, an arrow is shot. It hits the stage and lands right beside Mr. Winchester. I rolled to see if he notices it, and he did. He looks over at the Inquisitor, and he motions at the rooftop, and you see Well, have everyone roll for perception. I want to see if you were distracted by the fireworks.
I rolled a 9.
Fiverr rolled a 21.
Linux roll is 17.
Everyone but Axe rolled high enough to, Axe is just really into these fireworks that are going up in the air. Lenny and Fiverr, they did notice, and Anthony, who's staring at the stage, you see a massive, flame shoot up on the side of the stage where the Inquisitor was. It shoots back down, and Anthony, did you take this action? What did this action do for you?
Basically, it's cunning action,
Okay, you hid, but in your hiding, which these rooftops, they have chimneys and stuff. I'm going to say you just kind of got behind one, and where you were standing, a flame also appeared and went away, and left standing there was the Inquisitor looking for you. And we are going to leave it right there tonight.
What?